like especially for people listening who are interested in getting a PhD and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go like do a PhD at MIT, for example, and especially that we're talking about design.
Mm,
Um, uh, but a lot of people, like in general, and I'm speaking here from personal experience, they put a lot of weight behind the brand name schools, the
mhm,
MITs, the Harvards, the whatever. When in and that's for maybe for undergrads or maybe even a master's degree, that would carry a lot more weight. But for a PhD in particular, who your mentor is carries
mm,
a lot more weight, and who your program is within the university carries a lot more weight in terms of what benefits you're going to get versus getting a really a stamp from say Columbia. So for example, let's take Columbia and the University of Washington. You can say, oh, I have a PhD from an Ivy League school and I went to Columbia. That's great. But you're an HCI researcher. And at Columbia, there are like three HCI researchers. But then at the University of Washington, there are tens of HCI researchers spanning three different schools. And there is
mm,
the entire dub community that is all dedicated to HCI design research. And when you go into the field itself and like look at the rankings and things like that, University of Washington and Carnegie Mellon are like top one and two,
mm,
while someplace like Brown, for example, doesn't even rank on the top 10. But
mm,
if you're talking from a totally just brand specific point of view, you can say, "Oh,
mm,
I went to Brown. It's an Ivy League school. It's a top school." But when it comes to
mm,
the PhD, try to find the people who are pioneers in whatever you're interested in what
mm.
topic you want to pursue. So that would be my advice to anybody who's like trying to make their decision of like where should I apply, where should I go.
Yeah, I both agree and disagree with this because once you graduate, there are certain cases when you might want, rather than having strong options, strong possibilities and opportunities in one particular area. So, for example, University of Washington, very good HCI program, very good community around design and computer science and information school and all of these topics. So if you're gonna keep going on that particular path, I think that might be a great choice for you. However, if you graduate from your PhD and for some reason you want to change your path, or
Mhm.
for some reason you want to sort of uh, uh, jump to somewhere else, then in the community that you go to, let's say you graduate from a PhD in HCI from somewhere, but then you want to do banking, or then you want to do like uh, um, uh, some other job. I don't
Yeah,
know, architecture or whatever.
sure.
And then the brand name schools that are well recognized universally actually
Yeah,
open doors in, like, regardless of what your field is. You could
yeah,
go to, for example, MIT or Harvard or whatever, or like top 10 schools in the world, or very like globally recognized schools in the world, and study whatever, and still you
yeah,
will you will be able to access opportunities in a very diverse, very wide gamut of jobs and professions and communities and so on. Even though, as you said, if you do continue on the path on which you have been going already, going to a place where that particular path is more
yeah,
strong might be might be the way to go for sure. Yeah. So there's both
yeah.
of those considerations there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's only like one point of consideration. So the branding
Mm,
it definitely plays a part. But as you're making that decision, like
mm.
it's a big commitment to get a
Yeah.
PhD from a place where uh, you might not have a good relationship with your mentor or whatever, just because you are
Yeah.
after that brand name. I would say if you like really want that brand name and
Mm.
you have like money and time to spare, then do a
Uh-huh.
master's. If you just want to get like the stamp of
Mm.
Harvard, go do an executive MBA or something like that from Harvard, if you can get into it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're just wanting to get that brand name. um Yeah.
It can also though be a stepping stone for if you're already sort of, if you've had, let's say you've gone through a master's in design, and design I'm
Yeah.
using as an example because it's kind of
Yeah.
our topic,
Yeah.
and you've done it at school A, and then you want to sort of also want the stamp of school B in your
Mhm.
CV somehow. Well, you can't sort of go back and do an undergrad again, you can't do a master's again, but you can sort of apply for a PhD at that place, and go through like the next level of education at
Mm.
the school, which is sort of at a higher level.
Yeah.
So a lot of considerations do come into play. I definitely agree with you that when it comes to your scientific production, when
Yeah.
it comes to your day-to-day experience, when it comes to a lot of things that are actually about the job itself and about your life itself and so on, uh, there are so many other considerations that matter so much more than the name of your school.
Yeah.
But there are also situations in life where the name of your school will add a lot of value to you, or it will bring a lot of opportunities and a lot
Yeah.
of convenience. And I know this because I've experienced some of those situations, and some opportunities were close to me because uh, there were other people
Mhm.
that sort of had better brands on their CVs. And I can see when I look at the careers of my friends, my peers, who took other kinds of educational paths. Some of them went to Stanford, some of them went to Columbia, and then the opportunities that were presented to them, that sort of came to their feet, were at a higher level than what was presented to me, even though I was from the perspective of how much I was producing in my work at that particular time, and sort of the interestingness of the work that I was doing and so on. I was very happy doing the things that I've done. But I could recognize over time that brand names do bring some opportunities, and it's just a reality of the world. It's all about the level, the optionality, like the breadth versus depth, or the level of specialization that you're after. Um,
Yeah. It is. It is. It is really. It's at at some point. I mean, it's kind of unfair that
oh
but
yeah, yeah.
that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Humans
Um.
need heuristics though, like you
Yeah.
can't like someone who's looking at your CV, evaluating candidates for a job.
Hmm.
You can't expect this person to like sit down and go through uh 100 different universities and see
Yeah.
how strong they are in particular areas and so on. So as a heuristic, they just use
Yeah.
the renown, the fame and prestige of a particular name.
Yeah.
That's
Precisely.
just how the world works. That's how luxury brands sell as well. Like that's why
Yeah.
people wear shirts that say like Gucci or whatever on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how
And
humans
the human
manage
condition.
complexity.
Yeah.